to Send Talk Thursdays with myself, Charlie. We've got Blake and Ailish here today with us. So this week we're talking about ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. So ADHD is actually categorised into two types of behavioural problems: inattentiveness and hyperactivity and impulsiveness. Now, so that's the first. The second category is attention deficit disorder. So you've got the inattentiveness, but they don't display symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsiveness, which is why it's so much harder to diagnose, you'll tend to find. Now, also, within the population, about 5% of our primary population actually have ADHD. But again, as I've just said, it's so hard to diagnose. I think it's about 1% of people grow out of it, but the rest will remain with it throughout their kind of adult life as well.
So as Charlie said, it can be especially hard to diagnose. Hundreds up to thousands of people go undiagnosed every year. So here are some of the symptoms that you can look out for. Inability to sit still is definitely a large one. So fidgeting, excessive moving about, inability to focus on tasks for an extended amount of time, and even kind of careless mistakes, impulsivities can be a big symptom in ADHD.
So also another sign to look out for would be exaggerated emotional responses to certain situations, which can appear, I suppose, at the time as being over the top, but really aren't.
Yeah, definitely. And there are lots of coping mechanisms for pupils at home and in the school, and lots of management strategies that I think Blake is going to touch on now.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, as you can see, I've been playing with this fidget spinner over here. So, these toys are such a great visual aid, and they really do help pupils concentrate longer. So they can obviously play with this whenever they're feeling a bit frustrated. Another thing that we found really helps is a lot of pupils with ADHD, they will get excited and project that across the classroom at probably inappropriate times. It's very important to not punish excitability. Even though it might not be appropriate at the time, it's just better to have either a prearranged word or a hand signal, so that if the teacher puts this across to the pupil, then they know this is time for them to concentrate a bit more. Right. And yeah, just obviously touching on the concentration part, it is a very big misconception that ADHD pupils cannot concentrate for extended periods of time. In fact, they actually can. It's just all about hitting what sort of gets them excited and what
their interests.
Yeah, what their interests are, and it just sort of hits that part. So obviously for some pupils, visual aids are really good. Some pupils like bullet point lists that are achievable, that you can just tick off sort of as you go along. Another key thing that we found is that it also teaches independence. If you give pupils just a little timeout card, so they can use this timeout card in the classroom sort of whenever they like, it just makes them feel that when they do need to have a bit of timeout, they can. And it also promotes independence greatly, because it makes them feel like they're sort of in charge. Obviously you're in charge, but it makes them feel like they've got some form of
control more so
control,
of it. Yeah,
which
that's
is always
a really good idea.
So yeah, thank you for tuning in for another Send Talk Thursdays. Obviously, with it being ADHD month, awareness month, it's more important than ever to talk about these subjects.
Absolutely. We would love to hear from you as well. So what strategies have you found that work in your classroom? You know, any situations you've been in, you found that certain things work better, please comment. We would absolutely love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Leading on from ADHD, next week we're going to be talking about social, emotional and mental health, SEMH, which can present some of the same symptoms, but it's an entirely different ballgame. So we'll see you next week for that talk. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.